What is up, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me. This is Sincerely Maria, your #1 channel for self-care, self-love, and self-resilience. So today we will be talking about 5 different tips and tricks on how to build your self-confidence and skyrocket your self-esteem. So if you're interested on how to do that, then keep on watching. Okay, so the #1 tip that I have for you is to know your strengths and your weaknesses. So I don't care who you are, what part of the world you're from, what kind of life experiences you have, you are great at something. And at the same time, you're not so great at other things. So what your job is to recognize and identify those strengths and those weaknesses, whether it's 1 or 2 strengths and a list of weaknesses, or a list of strengths and a few weaknesses. Just figure out what they are. By figuring out what your strengths and your weaknesses are, what you're able to do is you become more self-aware. So why is that important? That is important because when you are more self-aware, you know what you need to improve on and you know what you're already great at. When you know what you're already great at, you play on those strengths. And when you know what you're not so great at, you work on those weaknesses. So there's so many types of strengths that you might have. For example, you might be someone that's very funny and you're really good at making people laugh. Or you have great communication skills. Or you're great at problem solving. Or you're just a very artistic person. Some type of weaknesses that you might have, if you're like me, is probably things like math. You might not be so good at numbers. Numbers just might not make sense in your head. Or another weakness you might recognize is that you're just overly emotional. So now let's go back to some of the strengths that we talked about. Say, for example, you figured out, hey, I'm a very funny person. I make a lot of people laugh. Start doing more of that. Anytime you talk to someone, use that to your advantage. If you have a weakness like you're very emotional, recognize it. I, for one, am very emotional. So what I like to do is anytime something upsets me, I like to just take a deep breath, relax, and just look at things from far away for a second. Now, by recognizing your strengths and your weaknesses, what you are doing is you're building your self-confidence. Let me tell you how. So say you figured out that one of your strengths is making people laugh, and one of your weaknesses is that you're not so great at math. So if one day somebody tells you, hey, you know what? You're not so great at math. What you can say is, you know what? I know, I'm not that great at math. I'm working on it, but I'm great at making people laugh. Do you see how that alone extrudes so much confidence? Okay, so tip #2 that I have for you is to look presentable. So now this can be something so small as just brushing your hair, putting on a little bit of makeup, wearing nice clothes, and keeping your chin up and your back straight. So when you look good on the outside, you naturally start to feel a little bit better on the inside because you know that you're bringing your best physical self forward. So next time you have a presentation or you know that you'll be around a group of people, make sure you dress your best because that alone will help you with your self-confidence. Sometimes it's just those little things that make a world of a difference. So now, tip #3 that I have for you is to help others. Helping others is a great way to skyrocket your self-esteem because when you help someone else, you're sending out that energy and that energy reverses back and comes back onto you. As a result, you feel very valuable and you feel like, you know what? I've done something good in my life, or I've done something good for someone else. I'm a good person. That alone can help you boost your self-esteem. So when we talk about helping other people, it can be the smallest little thing. So for example, helping an elderly cross the street, or just donating to your favorite charity. So when you do things like that, you should feel very proud of yourself. And of course, that ties back to your self-esteem, your self-confidence, and your self-love. This is basically the same concept as when you give somebody a gift. You've noticed that when you give someone a gift, you are more excited about them opening it than they are. So, exact same thing. That's the same energy you're pushing off to someone that comes back onto you. So now, tip #4 that I have for you to build your confidence and boost your self-esteem is affirmations. So affirmations are little words or phrases that you can tell yourself to make yourself feel a little bit better, to make you a little bit more confident. So these phrases can start with things like I am, I will, or I can. So for example, a couple of things I like to tell myself every time I wake up in the morning, and anytime I'm getting ready or I see myself in the mirror, I tell myself, I am a confident, independent woman, or I will start a business this year, or I can do anything I put my mind to. And right away, that shifts my level of confidence. So affirmations and phrases are something you should tell yourself as much as you possibly can. The more you repeat them, the more you believe them, and the better they make you feel. So here's something to think about. You spend the most amount of time with, guess what? Yourself. So you need to be your biggest fan, and you need to hype yourself up, because no one else can do that as much as you can. It's great when other people around you tell you something, but when you tell yourself something, that hits the spot. And that helps you with your self-confidence, and that helps you raise your self-esteem. No one will love you as much as you can love yourself. And once you love yourself, that alone gives you so much confidence and self-esteem and self-worth that nothing else can top that. Okay, so now tip number 5, empower yourself. Okay, so how do you even do that? What does that even mean? The best way to empower yourself is through knowledge. There's a reason why everyone says knowledge is power. It's no joke. So how can you do that? How can you expand your knowledge? Some of the best things that you can do is the very obvious: read. Read a book. Pick up a book that you really like, or a topic that you find interesting. Another thing that you can do is start listening to podcasts. And when you listen to a podcast, try to listen to something you know nothing about, because just imagine the wealth of knowledge you'll be getting from that. At the same time, you should be watching a lot of motivational and inspirational videos. They do work. They do help you. So when you gain more knowledge, what you're doing is you're absorbing all this information, and that information is basically shifting your perspective on things. You start looking at things different, you start feeling a different way, and when you gain all of this knowledge, you're able to talk to people more, you're able to discuss various topics. So why is that important? That's important because you're investing in yourself. And by investing in yourself, you're filling in those gaps inside you, things that you might feel like are missing or that you were unsure about. So yeah, don't forget to empower yourself. Okay, everybody, so those were 5 tips and tricks on how to build your confidence and boost your self-esteem. If you try any of these, please let me know in the comment section below how they work out for you. Or if you have any tips or tricks of your own, please make sure to let me know. I would love to hear from you guys. So I just want to remind you that life is so short. It's a blessing, so take advantage of every single day and be the best version of yourself possible. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the next video. I will see you soon. This is Maria from Sincerely Maria. Bye.